I once had in my how they ended up at the same table was interesting, but I had at our house one Shabbos, we had a fellow, fascinating fellow. He was someone who barely knew he was Jewish, who had served as a Marine in Iraq. I made a mistake. Could be because I'm already half Israeli. I said to him, what was the worst thing you saw in Iraq? This guy was like 6'3", bulging. He said to me, Rabbi, you don't ask a real soldier that question. It sounded like he saw some pretty awful things. He was a professional soldier. He had served beyond, of course, he signed up professionally to be part of the American Army. And then he told us over Shabbos, that after he finished, he did his tour of duty, the war in Iraq ended. He said, I knew I was Jewish, and I said to myself that if I'm a Jew, and there's a Jewish country, then I'm a Jewish soldier. Then I have to go and fight for the Jewish country. So he came, and he was serving in Tzal after serving for quite a few years in the U.S. Army. And he was at our table at the time. And then we had a Yeshiva Bachur who doesn't serve in the army. Beshita doesn't serve in the army. He's against serving in the army, which I happen to be at times sympathetic for. And he was sitting at our table. And this guy, this Jewish Marine, has no idea. He doesn't know what Chok Tal is. He doesn't know. And to him, it makes absolutely no sense. He said, when did you serve? He was at Mamish Tmimus. He said, I don't believe in serving in the army. And the Marine almost fell out of his chair. This is his whole life, is you stand up, you take a gun, and you defend people. And boom. It takes about 2.5 minutes, and they are going at it at each other. The Yeshiva Bachur is saying the country exists because of my Torah. Not my Torah. No, that wasn't fair. He said we're Zocha to be in Eretz Yisrael because all the Torah that's learned in Eretz Yisrael. And all the Ruchnius in Eretz Yisrael. And you are only focusing on the physical, and we're focusing on the spiritual. And the soldier is saying back to him, how could you have the world of physical? You living in this world that's entirely spiritual. You're not rooted in reality. You have no sense of responsibility. And what about all the mothers that are sending out their kids? You've heard this all before, right? And just hit me on the spot, Dvarim Pshutim. Just hit me on the spot. I turned to the Yeshiva Bacher. I said, here you have a fellow who barely knew that he was Jewish. He just knows that he's a soldier and that he's told that he's a Jew. And he comes to Eretz Yisrael to put his life on line. Could you find inside of you real respect and appreciation for what he's doing? And the Bacher said yes. I turned to the soldier. I said to him, you don't know, and you don't think that there's a great value for most people to be spending their entire day reading Talmud. I hear that. But could you take a moment and think, what does that Talmud represent? What does that represent about the continuity of the Jewish people? What does it represent about the history of the Jewish people? Is it possible that the only reason you're here is because we've been learning these same holy words, or even legalistic words, for the last 2,000 years? Makaba. Rabbosai, the moment in which we internalize what Rav Miller and Rav Meir Tzvi Bergman are saying is the moment in which we say, wait a second. There's a kitrug of lo noagu kavod zeh bezeh, that we killed each other bechenek, be'ones, coming from the fact that we put each other down and we weren't able to see the beautiful parts of all the different components of Jewish life. And what happened was, the list of the 45 Harugim brought together all of those beautiful parts. We read about people whose communities we were entirely not part of. And we read about the Kedusha of them and the sanctity, even though we disagree on fundamental issues. But it requires a koach. And that koach is for a person to be able to work hard on themselves. It doesn't become, it's not easy. There's a reason why we got into this problem in the first place. Because it's very easy to slide into a very, very different place. To slide into a place that is self-protecting, that focuses on our own personal needs and our own personal tzibur. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is asking us to wake up.